It's good news for many businesses as the federal government announced the immediate reopening of the land borders. The borders were shut in an effort to stop smuggling of goods into the country. Now that the borders have been reopened, what next? The Director General, Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Mines and Agriculture, Ambassador Ayo Olukoni, is here with me. Good morning. Thank you very much for coming on our show. Good morning. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Yes, when that border reopening was announced, NACCIMA released a statement welcoming, this move. So what was most exciting for your chamber about all of this?
Well, I think the most exciting thing was that we had called for reopening of the borders for obvious reasons. We're not oblivious of the security dimensions and the problems, but we thought that really these borders cannot be just closed like that. As a country that has a significant impact on the economy of West African states, and even beyond that, we thought that no. And we've been consistently calling for a review for the opening of the borders, tightening the borders in terms of the security arrangement. And when the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Zainab, Ahmad, announced that the committee has been formed, which she was chairing, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs and a few other very important ministers and ministries as well, and hinted that the borders will be opening. We also released a statement to welcome that announcement, and we called quickly for reopening. So eventually, when the borders were reopening, as always said, okay, fine, this is it. Now we can start talking properly, because it has impacted a lot on our members across the country and on the nation's economy. And we are of the view that COVID-19, the crisis of recession, that the vision of reopening, the vision of quickly coming out of recession in the first quarter of 2020, just like the minister and very other people have said.
First quarter of 2021, I guess.
Oh, sorry, 2021 is an indication that, look, this is one of the important strategic options to be able to achieve that objective.
Yeah, but the border was closed just to stop smuggling activities. Then one would wonder, did that really achieve the purpose?
Well, and that's why we are indeed glad that the whole gamut of the whole issues, policy position about reopening also addressed the question and issues of effectively policing the borders.
Absolutely.
Now, you've just thrown out the question. This morning I was also on NTA, Good Morning, with the minister, and she said that the full report of lessons learned and for the future and the gains of closing the borders will be released very soon. And I think it's a report all of us should look at, properly dissect and see what are the lessons learned. Because the question and issue now is sustainability of the borders which have been opened without jeopardizing the crisis and the problems of security, and also the question and issues of smuggling, effectively tackling them. Because those items which are banned are still banned. They're not, in terms of rice and others.
The rice, yes, the poultry.
So to be able to achieve the main objective of reopening that border, of the land borders which are reopened, I think the report which the Honorable Minister referred to this morning, and that to be available on the website and in the public, will be very, very interesting and very, it will be very good for all of us.
While we wait for that report, now you talked about, now that the borders have been reopened, it's important to ensure good policing of that border. Now, we have agencies like the customs, the immigration. How equipped do you think these agencies are to be able to police these borders? Because it's not all about closing the borders.
Yes, my take is that when the decision to reopen was all these factors to capacitate and make these agencies more and more effective has been put in place. That is our expectation, that the respective agencies, your customs, immigration, all the other agencies that all there at the border have been properly equipped to be able to effectively now police our borders. That is our expectation. That is our hope, and we sincerely hope that, and that's why we are saying we are referring to the report itself, which would, of course, have done a proper analysis in terms of all the issues that are involved, taking in place. And of course, I'm sure that the respective agencies too themselves will also realize this is the time to prove that indeed we are up to the task. Right. I think that is there, and especially like what we talked about, the question of getting ready for the AfCFTA too as well. Is all part of the wrap. Is all part of the package.
Coming at a time when the AfCFTA is about to take off January 1, and just wondering how ready our business is. Yes, I can see you in your local fabric.
Yes,
are you advocating made in Nigeria product?
Yeah. Well,
yes, my former guest talked about production. It's not about lockdown. Yes. We have to produce. How ready are we? How ready are your people?
I think the first thing to say is this, that the AfCFTA is a marathon. It is not a 100-meter dash. And don't forget, this is an agreement which dates back, the vision goes back as far, close to 1963. 1963 to now is almost, how many decades is that, itself? So it's a long-term vision coming at this particular period. We're glad that our forebearers, even our Prime Minister, Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa, spoke about it. Then the Abuja Treaty, 1991 Abuja Treaty, was also the reference point as far as this is concerned in terms of a continental free trade agreement. So here we are. But like I said, it is not a 100-meter dash. It is a marathon. And then we should start getting ourselves ready. We were just joking that I'm into fabric. One of the things I would like to also let us know is that the National Action Committee on the AfCFTA has been working assiduously, headed by Francis Fernatobu, in terms of the respective areas, the pharmaceuticals, manufacturing. Throughout last week, we were all involved in it to assess our strength, SWOT analysis, our strength, our weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We've looked at that. And the thing is to say that, listen, as the Chambers of Commerce, we are also working closely with our members to stand ready to be part of it. And I'm sure Nigeria can contest, can compete effectively in terms of the question of competitiveness. The manufacturing sector, we all know the prices and problem. It means that government has to make sure to resolve the crisis of infrastructure, energy, and all that. But beyond that, I'm wearing this fabric. This is an ethnic fabric in terms of the Nigerian fabric anywhere in the world. I served in the foreign service for 35 years. Anywhere, anytime you come on with Nigeria, and you know the Nigerian women with their gele, of course, you know what happens. The point I'm making is that we do have opportunities in fabric like this. I remember about 2 years ago, Ogun State government launched the authentic Ogun dress, Adre, to be able to bring it up to standard. What does that mean? It means that it is possible for us within the context of the AfCFTA as far as competitiveness, pushing this into the market.
Then the issue has always been, how do you ensure the value chain, getting it right in terms of value chain?
The first thing to say is that I'm very fond of the saying of Mario Cuomo that you campaign in poetry, but you govern in prose. You must, if you campaign, if it is good, we want to be part of it, but you must have an understanding of the AfCFTA. And that's why one of the things we're doing is to be able to help our members have an understanding, the respective, especially also the organized private sector. Manufacturer Association of Nigeria, NACCIMA, NACCIMA, as well as NECA, in terms of people reaching out to their members, and also working closely with the National Action Committee on the AfCFTA. But it is important to recognize that it is a private sector agreement between government, but it's going to be run by the private sector. And I must say that, indeed, honestly speaking, as we speak, the Nigerian banks are already de facto implementing the AfCFTA. I served in Nairobi for about 4 years, 2003, 2007, as a Nigerian diplomat, and there was hardly any Nigerian banks. Fast forward to this particular period, you have many of the banks. Don't let me mention that so that you don't charge the banks for me.
I'll charge you.
For them. But they are there as far as that is concerned.
Yeah.
You know. Nigerian products are also out there in various areas in terms of. So what we need to do is to capacitate our respective members, and especially in NACCIMA, this is one of the things we want to do. I'll give you a good example of the Nsukka yellow pepper, which about 300 farmers in Nsukka are brought together by the Nsukka Chambers of Commerce to be able to capacitate them to be able to produce the famous Nsukka yellow pepper in terms of being able to push it into the international market. Of course, the African market is also in vision as far as this. I'll give you a good example. Right not too far away from you here in Ilupeju, there's a company that's into glass blowing, and they're also producing coffee. Coffee as in coffee, you know, hybrid coffee. And they are saying that they have problems and challenges meeting the Nigerian market in terms of this coffee, in terms of the coffee itself. And they said they are now looking at the future, especially in context of the possibility of competing with Ethiopian coffee, Kenyan coffee. And you know, Ethiopian coffee and what it, in terms of the Starbucks chain. So that means that here in Nigeria, we do have companies like that that can compete effectively and also be part and parcel of the AfCFTA in terms of. And they said they've gone to acquire land, about 2 acres across the place, you know. But in context of the AfCFTA, I think one of the areas we should also focus on as the SMEs. Because if we can capacitate our SMEs to be able to trade effectively, to be able to produce in terms of what they can produce, and you mentioned the value chain. This is the time to now thinking beyond agriculture.
Absolutely.
We should now go into agribusiness. Agribusiness. And I'm sure the president of the AFD, the African Development Bank himself, Dr. Additional, also mentioned it, that this is the future. So in context of, this is the time to move beyond just agriculture. As we get ready for the AfCFTA, we should look at the agribusiness and the respect and the value chains that will come with it. Now,
the rule of origin, you know, when we're talking about this treaty, this deal, rule of origin is very important.
Of course.
Your members, do they really understand it? Because it's important. And what's your chamber doing to make them...
Of course, the rule of origin, like we said, in context of business, trade, export, and things like that, perhaps you can say it is the heart of the matter. And should also be a matter of the heart. I repeat that. It is the heart of the matter and also a matter of the heart. Implicitly, because if you throw that out of the window, then, I mean, everything is scattered. So what we do is to regularly, of course, educate our members in terms of... we are part of the ETLS committee, the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme. And then we do have that committee that looks at products which we are sending out in terms of ensuring that, yes, they comply, they conform with the old question of issues of certificate of origin, you know. And it's going to be a key and very important part of the AfCFTA, because if we don't nail that in, then, I mean, we're just opening our borders for goods from different part of the area. It's going to be a very important part of it. And of course, I'm sure the National Action Committee on the AfCFTA itself also recognizes that.
Now, Ambassador, before I let you go, now, are you concerned about this new wave of coronavirus?
Yes, of course. Of course.
The possible implication it might just have on even the takeoff of the AfCFTA?
Of course, we are the chambers of commerce. We are very concerned about that. We've in fact even in anticipation issued a statement to that effect. Is that, look, COVID-19 resurgence is real. It's an existential real for all of us. That means that we should, all the protocols in terms of health and safety, the guidelines, we must effectively that we must. But the lockdown, no.
No lockdown.
No lockdown. But implicitly, me and you individuals must take action as far as the question of the safety guidelines, which has been, you know, Lagos State is, of course, is also saying. And of course, I think perhaps we should also appeal to our respective churches. While Christmas and New Year, they should please kindly keep that in the wrap. Let us still do online thing. I think God is hearing prayers online too as well.
And if I may ask you, Ambassador, are you traveling for Christmas?
I'm around.
You're around.
I'm around.
But you have to travel.
Yes, I'm around.
Yeah, curtailing the traveling is also part of it.
Definitely not traveling outside the country, but in here too as well.
But within the country, travel from state to state should also be restricted in all of those. That should also be part of it.
People should also mask up, wash hands, and you know all the safety guidelines which has been rolled out by the government.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. And as you travel, be safe. I wish you and your family a Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. Of course, I wish all of us a Nigerian very pleasant period in terms of period. But please let us stay very safe.
We'll be safe.
And keep to the regulations.
To be safe, absolutely, so that we can see the year 2021 2021.
And
yes.
keep to the CDC requirements.
Few days to 2021, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the good work Channel is doing. Communication impact on all aspects of development. You are doing good work in that particular area.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.